looks like we're in business.
It does. So, have you thought about an introduction?
Well, this is my first interview, so
Okay.
I'm not really
Well-
sure how to introduce myself.
Again, I guess I'll do the introduction. So, welcome to, shall we say, a community and concert production with Dan Becker, the pianist. We're having a great time here. We actually just, we're finishing up. We finished up, how many tracks thus far
For the videos?
for the videos? Yeah.
Well, there's one left, so there's 11 videos that are
11
done.
videos altogether. Okay.
And we've worked on, I think, 4 of them so far.
Yeah.
And there's one more that you're going to be involved in, I believe. So,
Yeah.
looking forward to finishing that project.
Good. No, this is that's the one part. It's been, so how many years has it taken you to do this project thus far?
Well, including the recording of the audio, it's been 3 years since I sort of started recording dialogue and abject and then pushing buttons. And then this year I did the videos.
Okay, so you said there's dialogue, pushing buttons, and abject.
Yeah,
So
not in that order, but
not in that order. So what was the first?
dialogue was the first
Dialogue
album.
was the first one. Okay, cool. So tell me a little bit about dialogue. Like what inspired?
Well, that's the early work. That some of those are even from high school. Some of those are
Oh.
20 years old or more. It's simpler. It's pretty. It's energetic. It's positive.
Okay.
It's balanced, I think.
So what was your goal as far as in releasing 3 projects at once? And not obviously at once, but that's a lot of work.
Well, I started with writing this material over 20 years ago. And in high school, I actually did a fundraiser saying that I was going to put out an album, and here we are. So I wanted to get it out finally, and I got myself in a place in life where I had the time and the money and the energy. And getting those three things at once is not easy.
No, it's not.
And I finally got there. So what I did is I recorded it all as a batch, all 3 albums, and then started releasing it. Dialogue was released in the end of 2023. Abject I released shortly thereafter in February of 2024. And then Pushing Buttons is going to be released in a more almost strategic way, I guess I would say, where it's going to be an EP and then singles coming out.
Okay. So tell me, I guess we'll start with dialogue. What inspired dialogue? Because obviously, well, the funny thing about it is dialogue, but there are no lyrics.
Right, and that's the point. So it's I named it dialogue because I wanted to create an atmosphere for dialogue to happen. So you could think like dinner parties or other social gatherings. This could be playing and set the atmosphere, the tone of the room. That's the core reason behind the name of that album.
Nice. That's kind of ingenious.
Then it's also I like the irony aspect. Of
Yeah.
course, that's fun. It's a pretty fun album too.
You don't necessarily have to be verbal with your communication, and I think that's really sometimes where musicians get a bad rap. Let's face it, if you watch a movie, the music speaks.
Yeah,
Like
it needs to.
I know I've listened to dialogue. I've listened to all 3, and I totally hear what you're saying as far as there's a message in there, in all the records, albums.
Yeah, I think that the message is the message for Abject is much more clear, I guess.
Okay.
It's much more obvious.
So Abject, which one?
That's the second
That's the
album.
second one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that was written very, very quickly after I got out of the hospital for the first time.
Okay. So you were in the hospital?
Psychiatric.
Okay.
And so I think 10 out of the 13 tracks, maybe 11, were written in like a period of 4 to 6 months.
Okay, so
I was just playing incessantly. So I was in a bad state, as one can be. And that got channeled into music, I think. And so abject is a collection of angry and dark and sad and moody pieces that basically reflected where I was at that time. And it takes a journey from anger to forlorn. I guess I could use that word, forlorn, near the end. And so it does quiet down as it goes on.
You're able to use music to, shall we say, flow through the abject times.
Well, I mean, it was an expression.
Yeah.
It came out of me. It needed to.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of this music kind of comes out of me in a way that feels like a compulsion, and I think it's probably true for many musicians.
So check. Explain that a little bit.
Oh, that's a chess reference, like one step away from checkmate.
Okay.
So, I mean, the whole album, like I mentioned, is sort of focused around anger and sadness and depression and a lot of negative, typically associated as negative emotions. So Check is in there. The second to last track is called Verdict.
Okay.
The last is called Retrospect. There's Oblivion. There's a lot of Cataclysm. There's a lot of titles that are indicative of this abject state.
Okay. Okay. So it seems that dialogue starts out in this position of trying to communicate, but getting through the past. And now each record, it seems that there's a progression from, shall we say, a young Dan Becker to a, shall we say,
Well, my son says I'm middle-aged, so.
yeah. I won't say young, but I'll say a more, not challenged, but the word I'm looking for is, or the expression or the phrase I'm looking for is a more eyes wide open situation of who you are as a person.
That's an interesting observation. I have never thought about that. But if art is a reflection of self, then what you'll see is hopefully some sort of growth, some sort of change. Stagnation is kind of the enemy of creation, I think. So definitely there's been a transformation in the music. There's been a transformation in me. I guess it's unavoidable.
Obviously, it seems in the third album you've kind of risen out of that state.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The third album, the first half is almost like a manic episode. It's very energetic and very almost chaotic.
Okay.
But then it sort of settles into something that's like sort of like dialogue, only better in my opinion.
Okay. Okay.
Just better writing and more clear expression of emotion.
Nice. So it's so from.
So it takes a journey.
It takes a journey. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that as I listened. It was, again, that point of, this is where I once was. As I'm walking through this process and rediscovering that it's okay that I'm at where I'm at, I can get to that point of decision-making to say, okay, it's time to move on. And move on in whatever state I'm in, as far as to see that there is growth. And I did notice that from, abject to the final, the third installment of your, seems to be 4 or 5 album series?
Well, there's 3 that I'm releasing this quickly.
Okay.
And there's 3 that are from the past, I guess you would say. There's a 4th that's mostly written, and it's more present. Most of that was written in 2023 as I was recording the other material. I'm not sure if it's like this for you, but the more I play, the more I write. And it comes and goes.
What inspired you to say, hey, let me name it Pushing Buttons?
So yeah, this is tough because where do ideas come from, really? I mean, does anyone really know? They're like dreams, right? So I could tell that a track or an album or whatever is named when it sits so well with me that I can't choose anything else.
Okay.
So to me, that album is reflecting my buttons being pushed. But it's also a double meaning because if you think of a keyboard or a piano or any, you're pushing buttons. And then that's all we're doing all day, any day. You know, you're on a phone, you're on your computer, you're just pushing buttons. You know, you're working, you're just pushing buttons. So it felt very universal.
Okay.
And I really, it sat very well with me, and it fit the themes of the songs as they went through the album.
There's a saying, you're pushing my buttons.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't push that button. It's like, like you said, we're constantly pushing buttons mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. It just seems to be part of what goes on in our world, but we don't really think about it like that.
Yeah, I mean, the only other way I could name them is like idea 1, idea 2, idea 3, idea 4. This is the only way I know how. So the words sort of come. There's been a few tracks where there are stand-in titles. Like what I mean by that is, for example, In the Middle of Now, I had that title idea at some point and I wrote it down. And I really wanted to use it because it felt like the right title for something. But that something wasn't there yet.
I understand what you're saying, because what I did for some of my stuff is, you got a title and you're like, I got to use that title. And it takes time because you're like, well, no, that doesn't fit. The music doesn't fit that title. But
right.
You say, but I got to use that title.
Right. But eventually something comes. So I have an index card with, 3 or 4 different titles.
That's inspiring because...
And they might never happen. Usually naming these tracks is more direct. Like some of them describe the sound, what I think the song sounds like rain. The song kind of sounds like rain to me, like a thunderstorm building up. And sometimes it's just unexplainable. It's just the title just fits. Sort of like when you name a child. Yeah. You just know it's right and you can't explain why.
I agree. That's that's the beauty about life and music. It transcends what we think we know.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff is subconscious or metaphysical or spiritual, however you want to describe it. Not tangible.
And keep in mind, this is what I love about music too. It's only for a certain amount of time. As soon as the song is done, it's done. Now, again, you may revisit the song again and put it on repeat, no problem. But there's that point of time limit for a reason so that we can move on to the next thing. Whatever it's good, bad, ugly, beautiful, and whatever you want to, as far as use the words to describe it, it's important that we recognize it does have a beginning and have an end.
Yeah, absolutely. And projects, I think, do and should. You have to have a completion point. You got to move on. New material, new ideas, new perspectives, new growth.
And I see that. I do see that in this project that you've been in these 3 projects. I'm extremely proud of you in that place and inspired by you because of the journey. Got to be probably almost close to about 10 years. Think about it now. Where you were saying, I'm going to do this record, but I'm not really sure when. And then I remember you came in the studio when I was across the way, and then I was in the basement, and then you started doing some stuff on your digital piano, and that was a interesting process because...
Did not work.
Yeah. Well, the process, it brought you to a place of direction, and it brought you to a place of completion, which is the most important thing, And, embracing that place of, this is where I want to go, this is where I'd like to go, and now I'm completing that process. It's huge.
And I'm really happy to be releasing this music finally. I mean, maybe that's obvious, but
Well, no,
it's been
it's not.
such a long time.
Yeah, it's not obvious. I mean, I'm glad you said it. You're really happy to release the music because it's not obvious. Sometimes people think, okay, artists are just doing things. They don't know the struggle. Are you planning on doing any touring as far as in the winter months, or are you just gonna say I'm gonna pause till spring?
I have to find locations. I think, and I've never done it before. So orchestrating, setting up a concert, period, is new to me, and I don't really know where to start. But I didn't know where to start with any of this. So
Do we
I
really
got
though?
this far.
You know, doing being an independent artist.
Mm.
You know, there are pros and there are cons, and I think the hard space is that, or not hard, the challenging space is that you have to just put your foot out there and walk as an independent artist versus, you know, you have as far as a team of people behind you and a, shall we say, from a record label perspective, that do all the work for you.
Yeah, there's a reason that when you buy a record that's put out by a major label, that the credits are like half of the back of the
Yeah.
record, because they do have a team to make everything flawless. And as an independent musician, you're right. You have to learn everything, trial and error, or just getting it right sometimes, but you have to do it all.
In the past, why didn't you want to reveal your image?
Kind of part of what I talked about. I have a mental illness, and I don't want to. And part of that, it comes with like a lot of social anxiety, and I kind of wanted to be a recluse for a long time. And I'm kind of adjusting to this process. So between the anonymity part and just possibly hiding from my past or something, yeah, I just kind of wanted to keep it about the music and keep myself out of it.
I think you kind of nailed all the questions we have. You know, I want to thank, as far as you as the viewers, to be involved in this. Thank you, Dan, for coming out, and we look forward to doing more with you.
Thank you.